And we are live. Today's NinjaFox Radio Games and Geekery podcast for July 12th, 2015. I'm Jeff, and I'm here with Brian.
Hello.
And today we're talking about Batman Arkham Knight and all the lovely, lovely news that's coming out of delicious San Diego Comic-Con.
I am very excited, and sadly today is the last day.
Yeah. So do you want to start with Comic-Con stuff, or do you want to start with Arkham Knight?
We did a lot of Arkham Knight last time. Let's go ahead and start with Comic-Con. I think there's a lot of stuff happening there. So,
Yep.
fresh material is always good.
Yeah. So my thought was starting off kind of in the order of what's coming out. We've got Deadpool first next year.
Right. Super excited about that one. I've been actually reading some of the old comics here recently to kind of refresh my memory, thanks to Marvel Unlimited.
Yeah, they've got so we've got the trailer has leaked for Deadpool.
Yep.
I'm really hoping that they start doing. And I think some of them have started doing it. They've kind of started doing we show everything exclusive to people at San Diego Comic-Con, and ooh, it's so special, you're fancy, and you're first, so you're so cool. And then it's usually either later that same day or maybe the next week on Monday that they release it online. But a few of them still do the whole, oh, we'll show it to you at Comic-Con and it's not going to be online.
See, that's just foolish. And as a matter of fact, I want to say it was the Deadpool. I can't recall. It's one of the trailers that I watched that before they played the trailer, the guy said, "This is a little something I found online," of course, jokingly referring to the fact that it was going to be up like as soon as they finished showing it, because somebody was obviously going to be recording it.
Yeah, despite the strict no recording policy in Hall H, it's not going to stop anyone.
Well, 2 of the 3 that I watched were from Comic-Con. So.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. The strict no filming policy in Hall H stops nothing. It still happens and it still gets out like within minutes.
Oh yeah.
That was probably Deadpool. I don't know for sure, but it just sounds like something that Ryan Reynolds would have said.
It wasn't Ryan Reynolds. It was one of the guys that was involved in the making of the movie otherwise.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, let's talk about Deadpool to start off with then. I think it looks awesome.
I do too. There were a few things that I thought were really interesting. One of them I thought that you would probably like because we talked about this, is the facial expressions on the mask.
Yes.
There was one point later if it's the same trailer that I watched, the trailer that I watched where he is sniffing.
Yep, sniffing the guns.
The guns, and his eyes are kind of squinty, and then they get larger.
I'm going to touch myself tonight.
Yes, that's the part. So that was really cool, and I hope that that's something that continues on with other films and stuff too. Hopefully, obviously can do it.
It's a fine line to walk between looking reasonable and looking cartoony. And I think there's a little extra leeway given to Deadpool because he's Deadpool.
Right. He's not cartoony, but he gets away with a lot more stuff than other superheroes might.
Right. Like, for example, I've seen people complain about it with Spider-Man, but I think if Spider-Man's mask were to change sizes on the eyes and show more expressions, I think that would look really weird.
Well,
whereas Deadpool, it seems to work a lot better. Now, part of that might be that Spider-Man's eyes are naturally a lot larger.
Right. That was what I was going to say, actually.
Yeah. On the flip side, I do think I've seen it referred to on forums and various places where they basically say that take the helmet off of Spider-Man, like put the mask over the face instead of over a helmet. In that case, meaning that the mask doesn't move at all in most of the movies for Spider-Man. You should at least see his jaw moving when he's talking under the mask.
Right.
So I can see that. I can see that argument, but yeah. So this looks. I've got to agree with the general sentiment I'm seeing that Deadpool looks like more of a X-Men movie than any X-Men movie has so far. It looks accurate, and we've got the costume for him, and
I really feel like that in the trailer that they really got Deadpool. Like, it felt like it was probably made by people that knew the series and that enjoyed the series, like kind of made by fans. I don't recall who made it, but if he isn't a fan of the series, then I'd be surprised.
Well, I mean, I think a big part of it is Ryan Reynolds himself has been fighting for this role for so long, and I really like the way that even if there's even a few ways where they've gone meta without really shining a spotlight on it. You notice whenever he's being rolled through to go into the operating room for the actual procedure, he says something about don't make the suit green
Yeah, don't make it green or animated.
or animated. Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, that's a little bit of a meta jab right there.
Yep. I enjoyed it. I thought that it was kind of cool that they did break the fourth wall at least once in the trailer. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of that.
Yeah,
And I was actually surprised by the amount of swearing in that trailer. I don't remember how many. I think it was like 2 or 3 minute trailer. It said the F word at least 3 times, which is perfect for that character. It
yeah.
threw me because I'm so used to a lot of the superhero movies getting kind of tamed down. And
I liked
I mean,
the
they said it
girl.
was going to be R related, so.
Yeah, it's R rated. So I liked the girl telling her name. It's just, what the shit? That is awesome.
The best name ever. Yeah, that was really, really good. So
And a lot of people are really stoked that Colossus looks awesome. I mean, he looks huge and
yeah,
muscular, and I've seen a few comments from people who were there and they were actually in the panel and got to see it in full size, and they said he looks exactly like he does in the comics.
nice.
So it's not like, in the X-Men movies when we've seen him a couple times, he's been kind of chrome looking. This they seem to indicate he's got the lines, the bands on his arms,
Right, more like
body.
not scales, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, those just the metal bands that he
Mhm.
was always drawn with. So apparently he looks even better. Now the real
Yeah.
question is, whoever's playing him, will they have a Russian accent? And if they do, then yeah, hands down, this is the most X-Men movie that they've ever done.
Trying to recall, he didn't have any speaking lines in the trailer, did he?
No, they just he basically just punched Deadpool into a
so
car.
on Deadpool, just sorry, a little aside, I had pulled up my Twitter account and this had been retweeted. Ryan Reynolds said that the official release of that trailer won't be for about 3 weeks because they're not done with the effects shots yet.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I know that's a big thing, and I'm okay with that. That has been a big thing at Comic-Con, especially this year, apparently, and it's going to become more and more as it continues because we're getting more and more CG.
right.
But they said, but they did say that, with it being more CG, then you're almost becoming San Diego Comic-Con is almost not a trailer, but like an early preview of it.
Right.
In a lot of cases, they don't have any of the special effects ready to put together a full trailer.
Right. So I don't know. What I saw of it looked pretty good to me.
Yeah. From what
then again,
what
it
they
was
did
kind
show
of
looked
fuzzy.
good. Yeah, what they did show looked pretty good. So I'm excited to see the actual trailer get released. I am wondering, and it could be that they keep it under wraps, but I am wondering if Hugh Jackman does have a cameo in this or not, because I know at one point Reynolds says he was really trying to make it happen, and it looked like the only thing that was preventing it was just coordinating schedules. So actually having a time to have Jackman be able to get there and film it, and it's if it's a cameo like First Class, it's a not even a day of filming. It's
Right.
very quick, but they were trying to arrange it where he could actually do a cameo.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see him,
And
since
well, yeah, and because
yes and no, because then you gotta. I don't know. Did Days of Future Past erase the first Wolverine movie or
it has
kind of?
to have to some extent, just because it clearly at the end changed the course of how Wolverine gets found. It's he's not with Stryker, he's with Mystique.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, it definitely did, but there's still the connection to the Weapon X project. And Ryan apparently in an interview, like they asked him about it, how does this connect to Wolverine Weapon X? And he was hesitant to say anything about it, like he didn't want to give too much away.
Sure.
They said they've talked about it, and there is apparently a plan on how it ties in.
Well, that's good. I mean, there had to be something, but
Yeah, and I mean, even if nothing else, just the X-Men obviously exists because Colossus is there.
right. It's like one of the few Marvel movies that we can actually get X-Men in right now. that's not an X-Men film. Trying to see. Yeah, that's. I don't know. I'm excited. I still haven't played the game. Like, it's one of those that I'm sure I can find in the bargain bin now. But I don't think it did very well.
It
I heard
was.
that it captured the comic fairly well. It just
Oh yes.
wasn't a very good selling game, I guess.
Probably not, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did okay. It was. I don't think it was a really super high budget game.
Right.
And when it released, it was like retail was $30.
Yeah.
Like it's brand new MSRP day one release price was $30. I got it. It is a lot of fun. It is hilarious too.
Really. I'll have to check it out now. Just
Yeah.
kind of prep myself a little bit more for the
There's
movie. That's
there's
coming out next summer.
no, February comes out
Oh, okay.
Valentine's Day weekend.
Nice.
It'll be the first superhero movie of next year.
What better way to say I love you than the gift of
That's-
Deadpool?
That's right. Yeah, there's a part in the game where Cable is basically explaining the reason for the entire plot, because you're trying to get up to fighting Mr. Sinister,
Mm-hmm.
which is not exactly a typical. Mr. Sinister's not a typical Deadpool villain, I don't think.
I don't think so. No.
And so it was kind of weird that that's the big villain of a Deadpool game, and you really never understand why. But apparently Deadpool is like crucial. He's the only one who can actually stop everything from happening.
Yeah.
But you never actually find out why, because in the scene where Cable's explaining it, Wade gets bored and starts talking to the player, asking you to kill him. And so eventually you hit X and he shoots himself in the face. And as soon as he does, you hear Cable just like, "Damn it, Wade!" And when you get to the next cutscene, Deadpool wakes up and sits up, and he has a Bowie knife stabbed into his chest with a note on it from Cable telling him where to go, and telling him that his biggest fan is waiting at the top of a cliff in a bikini, to which the two voices basically say, "You're really not going to fall for this, are you?" And the other voice says, "But what if he's telling the truth this time?" And so therein you have your motivation to go on and find Cable.
Right. That's funny.
Which, when you get up there, you actually do see your biggest fan in a bikini, and you run up and start squeezing her boobs, only to find out it's not a woman, it's actually Cable.
Well,
And he punches the crap out of you. So yeah, so it's that sort of stuff. I mean, it's ridiculous, and it is pretty funny.
It could happen to anybody. I understand.
So yeah, it's a pretty good game. I enjoyed it. There are parts at the end where it's extremely difficult, like painfully difficult. I died over and over and over, and yet despite dying who knows how many times, like dozens of times,
Yeah.
every time I replayed it, had to start over and attempt it again. I laughed at the same point because the joke was just so well timed.
Nice.
It's one of those things where you've got enemy after enemy after enemy, just waves and waves of them. And you start getting into things where he's like, okay, that's got to be the last of, oh, nope, here we go again. And then after a little bit, it's like, oh, you're kidding me. And so like he starts voicing the growing frustration of how many waves of enemies there are.
Yeah, I've known that frustration, especially here recently with Arkham Knight. There were a few times where I'm like, really? Really, when you were doing some of the bomb missions. Like,
Yeah.
okay, that's got to be... There's more?
Yeah.
Where are they coming from?
Yeah, exactly. Or did you, I think Deadpool even says something about, did he get these guys wholesale?
That sounds very Deadpool.
That's
I'll definitely
that's
have
kind
to
of the
check
way
it
it
out.
feels in some video games. You're like, did you get these
definitely.
things wholesale? Where'd you come up with all these?
Right. I enjoy it when a game calls out some of those things, about other games. Like South Park does it a bit, and then of course it goes on to use those things it was calling out video games for. But it's fun to make fun of yourself to a certain extent, or to the thing that you're kind of cashing in on, I guess you could say. Imitating? I don't know. I always there's always been a fond place in my heart for parody.
Yeah.
So.
So
See what else?
let's see. Next after Deadpool comes out in February, then March will be Batman v Superman.
Okay.
Which, kudos Warner Brothers for putting the actual full trailer out online, so we
Right.
could actually see
Good
the full
job.
thing.
What's
And
going on with the other one that you didn't put out online? I don't get it. It should be out by now. Anyway.
yeah, the Suicide Squad that they
Yeah.
showed. Yeah. That one is weird. But let's start with Batman v Superman.
Yes.
Um, I will say that the one thing I didn't like from Man of Steel that I definitely saw continuing in here, and I'm not really surprised, is can we get any more blatant Christ allegorical imagery?
Yeah, I didn't feel like it was as heavy-handed this time as it was the last time. In the trailer that I saw before, and it was pretty. It was in there in the movie, the last film too.
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't.
the last film was extremely heavy-handed with it. It was like nothing but over and
Yeah, yeah,
over.
yeah. So
And then
I
this one is like outright, where do angels come from and devils and his all the people reaching for him, surrounded about him, or
right.
reaching up to the sky and he's floating there with the light shining behind him, and I'm just like, God, can we get over this already?
Right, we get it. All right, he's Jesus. Oh my God. So I have a question for you. I haven't researched it obviously, but is it a direct sequel to Man of Steel? Do we know?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I knew it was the same
Um,
guy, but
yeah, it's a direct sequel. The you remember in the trailer where it shows Bruce running through the city with the buildings collapsing? That's during the battle with Zod in Metropolis.
yeah,
So
no,
Bruce,
that's yeah,
so
yeah. I
Bruce was
figured
there.
that.
Yeah.
I figured that much. That's why I figured that kind of gave us an idea of why they were fighting. I guess. I don't know. I think somebody had told me something about the guy playing Batman, whose name for some reason
Ben
eludes me.
Affleck.
There we go, Ben Affleck. Kind of giving a little bit more information about Batman's motivations for this movie, but I think really that scene right there was a pretty good indication. And then there was some other stuff that they talked about in the actual trailer, like reasons that Batman is kind of involved. It
Yeah,
wasn't
he
explicitly
talks.
stated, but
Well, because he talks about. Well, I thought it was kind of explicitly stated because he says about how many good men are left in or how many good people are in how many good men are in Gotham, how many stayed that way, and so essentially he's saying that Superman may seem like he's good now, but we don't know if he'll stay good, and if he goes evil, if he went bad, he could wipe out the entire planet basically.
sure.
But I did think, I don't know, it seems a little ham-fisted to me that they're establishing and founding the Justice League off of, well, Superman could go evil one day, so I have to destroy him. I was like, that seems a little far, even for Bruce.
Right.
And I'm a little on the fence about this whole let's start our cinematic universe with a Batman who is older and retired because apparently he's quit being Batman and is
Mm.
somewhat out of shape and now comes back into being Batman. And I'm like, I understand you're using the Dark Knight Returns as some of your foundation and some of your reference source
Right.
material,
Right.
but it just seems really awkward to start everything at that point because I mean the big thing about the Dark Knight Returns was that is the culmination. That's the end of this like decades of relationship and differing ideologies between Superman and Batman.
Right.
It's kind of the end of the relationship, and they're using that as the foundation of everything, which it just seems a little weird to me.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Definitely. I was I was concerned about one thing in the trailer. Do we know how long the film is going to be, by the way?
Just about 2.5 hours.
Okay, so longish.
Just about the same as the Avengers films, I think.
Okay, okay. And those don't feel too long generally. Well, I was a little bit concerned because they touched on it a little bit in the trailer. I'm really hoping they don't go too deep into the Batman origin story again.
Yeah,
Everybody knows the
they had a
Batman origin
glimpse of it.
story. Yeah, that's all we need.
Yeah,
Just a glimpse.
I don't think they'll go too heavy into it. Just I think for one thing, time.
Right.
The things that I'm more curious about are things like I'm assuming that there's a scene where I'm assuming it's Bruce. He's walking through like a field towards this. To me, it looks like it's Wayne Manor, but it looks like it's like all burned out. Like it was basically completely burned. Like fire consumed the entire thing, and it's nothing but the walls are standing now.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, that seems kind of weird. I mean, I assume that's part of the whole returning back to the Batcave because he's coming out of retirement or whatever.
Right.
Although even then, like what looks like it's the Batcave, man, it looks like super high tech with glass and stairs and windows, and I'm like, that doesn't look like a cave. Doesn't look like a
Yeah.
cave at all. Of
Right.
course, I guess it could also be. I mean, we're talking about Batman, so it could be. That may not even be the cave under Wayne Manor. That might be something like beneath one of the Wayne Towers or one of the multiple, backup caves that he's built around Metropolis or Gotham or wherever that one happens to be.
Right. Yeah, there's no telling. Well, Wayne Tower from that movie would have to be in Metropolis. Is
Yes,
that what you mean? Yeah. Okay.
there's a Wayne. It's a Wayne Foundation. And I'm actually looking at superherohype.com. They've got over 90 screenshots from the trailer, and
Okay.
that part where Bruce is holding the little girl and he's looking up
Right.
at the sky. There's when it pans out, there's a sign on the left of him that says Wayne Financial. So it's the thing is, apparently obviously it's his tower that gets hit, and a lot of his employees die.
Right.
So that's kind of what makes this whole thing a little on a personal level to it. Which brings me to the next question: is they've got the clip, the newspaper clipping.
Hmm.
Wayne Tower devastated, dozens killed, and it's written on the deal, "You let your family die."
Yep.
And I'm wondering who sent that, because I mean, obviously
Uh,
that would suggest whoever it is. And I mean, it's not. I don't think that's a Batman related thing. I think that's a Bruce Wayne related thing.
Probably so.
My assumption is something along the lines of having said, that all the employees of the Wayne Foundation are like family or something, blah blah blah, and then this happens and you let your family die.
Right. Or it could have been somebody else because I know that there's a scene in here. There's a statue. Where is it at? The statue. Yeah.
You mean
Haha. Joke's on you, Batman.
the costume?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it a costume? It
that's
looks like a
Robin.
statue.
That's
Ah.
Robin's suit on in a display case.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's Jason Todd, because they said that
Gotcha.
this would reference the whole Joker killing Robin in the past.
Right.
And
Oh,
again,
yeah.
this is after Batman's been Batman for like 20 some odd years.
Okay, but this doesn't take place in the same universe as the Nolan films, though.
No,
Obviously, because it's a different
yeah,
Batman. But they're
yeah.
kind of using some of that almost. I don't know. It's
Nolan,
really weird.
no, the Nolan film, no connection, no reference, no relevance whatsoever.
All right, except for this Batman.
Well, except for it's Batman, but it's a very different Batman. I mean, this one is obviously comic book influence, whereas the whole point of Nolan's was to ground it in reality.
Right. Well, that's what they were trying to do with the Superman film is make it more realistic and gritty
Yeah,
and stuff, and it ended up being it was okay.
what would happen if this all happened in our world sort of thing? Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. We'll see. I hope it's as good as this trailer makes it look. I felt a lot better about the movie after seeing this trailer than the last one because one thing I noticed is there were the Jesus allegory. Is that the right word?
Yeah, the Christ
The
imagery.
Christ, yeah, imagery and stuff like that. This one made him seem less like a villain than the last one, though. Like in the last trailer, it seemed a lot more like he was ruling over them with an iron fist, and it didn't feel like that as much this time.
Yeah,
And I'm sure that's the way that it was like edited in the last
yeah.
trailer.
Well, and
Like
it's kind of
intentionally, I'm
interesting
sure.
because this one actually makes Batman seem like the villain.
Yeah.
So
So
that
it's
is
kind of
kind of
interesting.
um,
There's a little cameo in there too.
with Zod.
No, Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well,
That's not a cameo. She's
not a real
apparently a
cameo.
major part in the film.
Well, it's
Which that's my concern is I felt like Man of Steel did a bad job of character development and they had
right.
less characters to develop, and now this one they've got Batman, Alfred, Perry White, Lois Lane, Superman, Aquaman, um,
Aquaman's in
Wonder.
this?
Yes, Aquaman is in it too. Wonder Woman,
Was he in the
Lex.
trailer?
No, he's not in the trailer
Okay.
yet. Lex, and then apparently Doomsday is going to be in the film as well.
Yeah, nope, we're overdoing it.
I'm just like, I mean, Doomsday is obviously their. I'm sure it's going to be they use Zod's body, they create Doomsday, and then that's the thing that Batman and Superman have to team up, or Wonder Woman, all three of them have to team up and stop Doomsday, and blah blah
And
blah.
Aquaman, he's gonna help too, right? Like bring him over closer to the water. Bring
I
him.
don't know. I don't know what like again. I think he's going to be a smaller. Oh, I'm forgetting. Cyborg is also going to make an appearance in the film too.
Come on, guys, you're killing me.
Or at least before he becomes Cyborg, one of the two.
Golly.
So yeah, I mean they're just
There's
cramming
Spider-Man 3
in.
this one.
Yeah, I mean it's a hell of a lot of people that they're putting into there.
Really, really is.
Let's see, there was the other scene that I haven't gone through here on the deal, but there was one scene I really wanted to look at, and it's also drawn from The Dark Knight Returns, or even the one after that, Strikes Again. I think where they're riding on horseback, and then there's a scene. It's where Batman's he's got kind of a steampunk or desert steampunk sort of costume on.
Mm-hmm.
He's got like the brown leather jacket and the goggles on,
When
and
the
he's
Aquaman
fighting.
does show up, there's a little water scene here. Let me go back.
He's
I'm kind of scrolling
Superman
through.
soldiers. It's picture 67 if you're on the screen.
Oh, did you send that to me? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Nah, if you're on the, I don't know if you're on the.
Oh no, I'm actually flipping through the trailer, like on YouTube. I'm kind of looking at it on YouTube while we're talking here too. I don't have the sound on because I watched it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
But
this part, I mean, and those are the soldiers that we saw in the first one. Like you said, it seems like he's kind of ruling over them. That's that point where the soldiers are all bowing down to him or kneeling before him.
Right.
These look like it's the same soldiers, but it's often in desert somewhere, and
yeah, it's the same patches or whatever on their shoulders.
So I don't know what's going on there. It's just kind of weird for you don't see Batman wearing goggles in the desert that often.
Or in the desert, yeah.
Or in the desert. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with that.
I'm sure it's some sort of heavy-handed reference to something. We'll find out.
Yeah.
Some sort of heavy-handed reference to Iraq or something.
Yeah, or they've got, and then we do see the kryptonite. Yeah. I still don't see Eisenberg as Lex.
You know, I feel a little bit better about it. Yeah, I know. I feel a little bit better about it after watching this trailer, but he's still not. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Probably could have cast that. Definitely could have cast that a lot better.
I just don't see this whole young Lex thing. He's always seemed older to me.
Yeah. I mean, they did him in the series, but that was all of them were teenagers, so I guess that didn't really count.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm still bitter because I wanted to see Cranston as Lex.
Well, he's busy doing all that. Yeah, he's got nothing going on.
He did Godzilla. There was actually I have no clue what it was from, but there was some panel he was at where some guy was he kind of stammered about it a bit, but he was asking, when you were filming Breaking Bad, how did you like being in Albuquerque? Because that was the guy's hometown. He's like, I grew up in Albuquerque, so I just kind of wondered, how did you feel about it? Like, did you like being there? Was it fun, or just what was your impression of the city and everything? And Cranston's response was, well, I visited your mom a few times. And he kind of grins, and his head and shoulders move a little bit, like he's kind of doing like a little, like a little jig of, haha. And then he drops the mic, and everyone's just laughing about this. But it's like, damn, that was kind of cold. It's like, you just got a your mom joke, but at the same time, you just got a your mom joke from Bryan Cranston.
For Bryan Cranston, yeah. Well, I mean, there's not a whole lot going on in Albuquerque. Even though the series would have you believe otherwise.
Yeah.
It's hot and dry and.
I don't know. Weird Al did a whole song about it, so.
Well, yeah. No, sorry, that's still Weird Al.
Now, did you see? Did you notice in the trailer the Dark Knight Returns classic image come up? I just linked it, and this doesn't actually show you the part itself, but it's this scene, and there's this part. Batman's like on the side of a roof. He's hanging on the side of the roof. It's right before he fires off the grappling hook to swing away. But he's got the hand down a little bit forward more, and a lightning bolt strikes from the back. And I was like, that's definitely taken to kind of give that Dark Knight Returns image.
Right.
That classic scene from the cover of him jumping and the lightning bolt behind him and everything.
Yeah, I remember that.
I thought that was a kind of a cool way to actually fit that image into it.
Yeah, I've got that comic. It's in my.
But
I know where it's
that
at.
that particular scene where he's on the side of the deal and he fires off the grappling and swings away,
Yep.
that part of it is like, okay, this is comic book. This is
Right.
comic book Batman. This is going to be. The funny thing is, this trailer got me. I was less excited for Batman v Superman. Seeing this trailer, I'm a little bit more excited for it. But this trailer made me more excited for Suicide Squad because that's going to be partially a Batman film. Of course, then I
Yeah.
saw the Suicide Squad trailer and I'm less interested. But this trailer makes me most interested in seeing the Batman solo film that Affleck is going to co-write, direct, and star in.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a lot. Yeah. Just yeah. This I like this Batman. I wasn't sure that I would once he was established that that's who it was going to be, and but yeah, it'll be interesting to see another Batman. I'll watch it. I've seen. Well, I saw the two Tim Burton ones and didn't see any more until Chris Nolan actually, so I can't say too much. I stayed away from the bad
Yeah,
ones.
yeah, you did yourself a
I
favor
did
there.
good.
Yeah, you did good, boy. You did good.
So yeah, so nice segue. Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
BT Dubs.
Suicide Squad.
Uh,
Don't know why they've not released the trailer on that.
I don't know. I don't follow anybody that's in that, so I'm
Um,
sure there's some sort of something out there. The trailer that I watched, I don't know if you probably saw the same one because I think there's only like one out there, is very poorly done, like filmed as far as
right,
whoever
yeah.
was capturing it at the Comic Con was just, I don't know if they had some sort of something going on or, but also it was just a really bad, low quality video that I saw too.
Yeah.
But I don't know a whole lot about the story of that other than what was given to us in the trailer. So I don't know anything about the comics or anything that's coming from.
Yeah,
Um,
I've not read them, but I'm familiar enough to know kind of the premise. I mean, it is just what they say it is. It's basically they take a they take a team of supervillains, and I don't know like what the premise will be in this one, but because they mentioned that it gives them deniability, but in the from what I've seen in like animated forms and from what little I've known, it's usually been something like either it's a collar or it's a brain implant or whatever it is. It's essentially you're going to take on these missions, do what the government needs you to do, black ops sort of stuff. And if you say no or you deviate from what your mission is, then we basically blow up your head.
oh, okay. So that I
And
think that would probably generally work.
yeah, and so like the premise is okay. I don't really
Mm-hmm.
have too much issue with the premise. Um, and there's actually it's on Netflix. It's called I think it's called Batman Assault on Arkham, and that was actually pretty well done. I really actually enjoyed it. It's not like a deep thoughtful thing. It's kind of just a teenage testosterone fueled action adventure through Arkham Asylum sort of thing. But it was kind of fun. It was for what it was, and it worked out pretty well there. But the problem is in here. I mean, it's the same problem. It's one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, 9 people on Suicide Squad, plus Batman and Joker being in there.
Didn't know Batman was going to show up.
Yep,
I
Batman
knew that
is in
they
it.
mentioned Superman. I knew that much. I
Yeah,
didn't know he was actually going to be in it.
Batman is fully in it. In fact, they've filmed scenes with him. Basically, he's riding on top of Joker's Lamborghini.
Oh, I wondered. I saw somebody in a cape, but the quality was so bad that
Yeah,
I couldn't tell
yeah,
what was going on.
it's Batman. He's basically handling, and I don't know if that's going to be flashback to how they caught Joker and Harley and got them put into Arkham in the first place, or if that's going to be happening now. But either way, that's just the fact that he's in it is kind of cool to me.
Yeah.
But let's now go over and talk about what that also means. Let's talk about Joker.
Yes. So I was interested once I found out who was going to be the Joker. Jared Leto or Leto. I'm not sure how it's pronounced.
Yeah,
Known for several roles that he's done over the years. One of his biggest ones was probably in Requiem for a Dream, um, which is Fairly popular. I guess it's kind of culty. Like he's had a few different roles that he's done but they all were kind of culty. He's Mr. Nobody, apparently Dallas Buyers Club, which I haven't seen. I'm looking up his IMDb. I mean, anything I've ever seen him in, I've enjoyed him in. I didn't remember him being in American Psycho, but okay. But anytime I've seen him, like I know he was in Panic Room. He did really well in that, and that was a pretty good movie. And like I said, Requiem for a Dream was really the big movie that people would know him from. He also is a singer, for lead singer for 30 Seconds to Mars, which is a fairly successful band. All that being said, I had seen some images that had been leaked out. I don't remember if it was him that actually leaked them or someone else.
Yeah, whoever designed him needs to be drug out in the street.
Yeah, and I was just like, okay, well maybe that's just like him doing something to whatever. No, that's exactly what they ended up looking like. What he ended up looking like.
Yeah, and on top of that, apparently, like, this version of Joker doesn't like wearing clothes because they're showing off the damn tattoos every chance they get. Even in the set photos that I saw where people took photos when they were filming up in Canada, I think it was. He's wearing a white suit, which, is, again, a toss back to The Dark Knight Returns when he wore the white suit at the end, the final showdown with him or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like a white suit with a purple shirt. But the purple shirt is like unbuttoned down to below his sternum and kept wide open. So, man, let's look at those tattoos on Joker. Right. Just like, why? And above all else, the damage tattoo on his forehead is just utterly stupid.
Yeah, he's got a recognizable face. You don't want to mar it with something like that. I mean,
on top of that, I've seen a lot of comments, and I have to totally agree with it. A lot of people said it just makes him seem like a run-of-the-mill thug. He seems like a gang member.
Right.
He looks like what you would expect a Joker gang member to look like, not Joker himself. Because Joker's utter insanity has always been contrasted that his presentation, the way he presents himself, has always been kind of sophisticated.
Right.
I mean, hell, he's usually wearing a long tail coat or a suit or something. Even Ledger's Joker was wearing, basically custom-made everything, but he was dressed slick,
Yeah. Most of the time, but yeah, he had a certain presence about him.
Yeah,
he's mad as hell.
Right, he's bat crap crazy, but I don't know. He's always been presented as like he presents himself as high class, and the suit and the corsage that'll spit acid on you, and the.
Right.
So yeah, I don't get what they're going for. I don't understand the designs. Harley looks ridiculous to me. She's wearing like hot shorts and a t-shirt and high heel boots, and like nothing about Harley says Harley Quinn at all. For that matter, they dyed her hair. Her pigtails are blue and red, and I'm like, it's always been black and red. A Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
So I don't get the design direction that they're going with for these movies whatsoever. Especially when you look at Batman and his costume is so spot on.
Right.
And then you look at these other characters and you're as far away from as possible.
So who's in control of like the DC universe and trying to make the Justice League happen? Like, is there somebody that's
Warner Brothers?
Well, I knew that, but is there someone that's like the overseer?
That should tell you it's Warner Brothers.
True.
It's an executive thing. They don't have a Kevin Feige.
Okay.
They don't have a guy steering the ship to make everything cohesive. There's actually been some reports out of Hollywood that they're even basically doing for the Wonder Woman film and I think Aquaman's film, both. They're basically just like shopping it out and basically trying to get 5 different writers just to do their version of a script, and they'll see which one they like. And it's like, this just sounds like throwing crap on the wall and seeing what they feel like will stick rather than trying to do a cohesive universe that'll all tie together.
Yeah, that's not going to work. You'd think that they would know that, like that they would know what to do. I mean, they've got a perfect example of it with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They've been handling that really well. But I think that a lot of it is just that they're trying to get caught up. because
Yeah,
we're two Avengers films in, and they're like, oh shit, like we haven't had anything since Nolan's Batman, and then the Superman film. We got to come up with something, and everybody seems to like those Avengers film with a bunch of superheroes, so let's do that.
yeah, and they even more. I mean,
Right,
let's put even more characters than we had in the first place.
right.
So yeah, I really don't get it. I thought that from what we heard of that trailer, I thought Harley Quinn sounds just really dull. Like
Yeah,
there's nothing, there's
like
not even an
she's always
attempt to
been.
give her the accent, you know?
Yeah, she's always been like kind of bubbly, crazy. And
Yeah,
it's just not.
she's cheerful, and even have you watched Arrow from CW?
I've not.
Even in that, they had the tiniest Easter egg cameo from Harley, and you didn't see her, you only heard her voice, and it was actually Suicide Squad. They were going in to get out Deadshot and a couple other guys to
Mhm.
basically do this thing, and the guy starts to go over like you hear through the cell basically, and they did a good job either mimicking or getting the original voice actress to do it, where it's like, I could help you, I'm a trained psychiatrist, and the guy starts to go over to it, and Deadshot goes, you don't want her, she's too crazy.
That's funny.
And they like she says something else about, come on, let me out, and they basically leave her, but it was really nice, like Easter egg audio cameo of Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I mean, and you definitely want to. You would think that they would definitely want to keep um, as close to that voice as possible because Harley Quinn, of course, is a character that was created for the animated series. So
Hmm.
she's always had that voice. It's not
Yeah,
like she could be translated some other way. Like there could be
right.
5 different people that have played Batman that sound different because he was a comic first. So yeah, you can kind of translate. You shouldn't try to retranslate her.
Yeah, and so there's that. I mean, Tara Strong has tried to. She's not done an exact, but she's kind of brought that same sort of tone to it when she's performed her in the Arkham games.
Yeah,
And then on the flip side, Joker sounded to me like just a run of the mill thug. I
he
mean,
really did.
it was. I liked the laugh because it wasn't. It was different, and it was like it's probably a different sort of situation.
Right.
That's not really the hysterical. This is funny to me, Joker. That was just kind of a ha ha
Yeah.
more of an intimidating sort of thing. So I
Right.
was okay with that, but at the same time, I feel like Leto has to nail that crazy, wild, out there laugh.
Mhm.
Um, and that was one thing that Ledger. It's really hard to match that first Ledger. Not his performance. I think that can be matched, but
Mhm.
the trailer where they first actually presented the Dark Knight version of Joker.
Mhm.
The very first thing you heard of Ledger's Joker was his laugh, and
Yep.
it was maniacal.
Yeah. It was
And
good.
just this whole, I'm not going to kill you. I'm just going to hurt you
Yeah.
real bad. I'm like, this sounds just like a generic thug
Crazy
bad guy.
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like this fits Zaz more than it does Joker.
Yeah, definitely. Good call.
And I'm not gonna say that I'm not using this to say that Leto's gonna be a bad Joker and he can't play Joker. It's more of that seems like it was a weak scene to use as the unveiling of his character.
Right.
Um, I mean, we
And
all know he's going to be in it. It may have even been smart to just not use him.
yeah, I think they probably put him in there because so many people were really like kind of clamoring for it.
Yeah, they want to see him and all that, but and even that, I felt like his face. I was like, I know that they're going with this is not face paint Joker. This is his skin is actually bleached white.
Yeah.
But even with that version, they've gone so like half-assed on making his face bleached white.
Mhm.
He looks like he's just really pale.
Which
Like
Jared Leto is pretty pale anyway, so
he doesn't look like he's actually white skin. It looks like he's just really fair complexion
yeah.
with really bright green hair.
I don't know. I
Like some
mean,
of the pictures, his hair looks neon green, but at the same time, people also pointed out, well, yeah, but on the set, Superman's cape was an actual bright, vibrant red on the set.
yeah.
And then in
So
Man
they
of
could
Steel, it
tone
was
it down.
almost maroon.
Yeah. Well,
There's actually a video out you should check out on YouTube called "What If Man of Steel Was Shot in Color." And basically, they basically just took Man of Steel and just adjusted the color contrast up to where it was originally, because they actually did in post production lower the contrast and darken it.
Mm-hmm.
And they basically, this just took it back up to normal where it should be. And man, it's a totally different film. It's very bright, very vibrant, and what you kind of think Superman should look like.
Right, instead of, oh, so dark and gritty.
So dark, so gritty, much angst.
So that's right.
The other funny thing I laugh at is, now that we've seen the pictures of it, is it kind of funny that this new Superman from Man of Steel and now Batman v Superman, his costume looks an awful lot like the one Nicolas Cage was going to wear.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Huh. I guess they decided to keep that after all.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to waste the money, right? That's how that works. I don't know. I've never made a movie, fortunately for everybody. But
yeah, but yeah,
like, what the hell did I just watch?
It really does. It looks a lot like it.
Yeah, I'm sure that they kept that for a reason. So yeah, I'm interested to see how Leto plays Joker, how that works out, especially after seeing that. He's got big clown shoes to fill, so nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I get nothing for that. All right.
No. You get nothing, sir. You get nothing.
I tried. What else we got? Let's see. Oh yeah, Daredevil news.
Yeah, Elektra.
Yeah, Elektra is definitely going to be, from the beginning of season 2, going to be played by Elodie Young,
who's kind of played Elektra once already.
Yeah, I'd heard something about that. Her character in G.I. Joe was apparently basically that.
Pretty much. She was playing Jinx, who's a ninja and wears all red. So it was like, you can just go, whoa! I just had a little accident. That was I had a cat laying down that decided, I want to rub my head on, whoa, and he went off the desk.
As to say, his name is Toby, the name of that little accident.
That's right. He just fell off the desk. But yeah, so she's played her character Jinx in G.I. Joe. She could just go basically pull the same costume out of the storage and wear it for Elektra, and she'd pretty much be the same.
Yeah, nobody would know except for, I don't know, I guess the studio. Is it the same? Who made the G.I. Joe movies?
Not Netflix nor Marvel, so.
Okay. Well, I knew that, but I don't know. I'm sure that somebody knows.
And it wasn't Disney, so.
Somebody's got to know somebody. Be like, hey, you know that costume that you...
Can we borrow that?
Where's that at? It'd really help with our budget.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I mean, I know that it had been speculated for a while that she was going to be there, and I know that you were kind of wanting her to be there. And again, another character I don't really know anything about, so I just caught that.
Now the last thing they've just got to do is confirm that Bullseye will be in it, and they'll pretty much have the big part that everyone wants as far as the big Daredevil storyline is. Elektra, you sort of can't do Elektra without Bullseye. How that balances out with Punisher, we'll see. We also don't know if Punisher is going to be in through the entire thing. He may be in just part of the season.
Yeah, it's yeah, we don't. I really don't know where I was going with that. It's true, we don't. I did finally finish that. So good. So good. I liked the costume too.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping they tweak it a little bit more for the second season. I would actually like it to be a little bit brighter.
Yeah.
Deadpool's red is actually more accurate for Daredevil, and I would kind of like them to go more towards that level of red rather than the dark blood maroon sort of color.
Right. Well, I didn't mind that part. I just have always had a problem with that, and also the main, or the Daredevil costume, and then what he was wearing. Most of the series it was weird looking, the way that it was like dome shaped almost in the front, and it stuck out significantly farther than I felt like it should have. Like it made his head look weird.
For his the Black Mask?
Both. It just seemed like it was like out there too far. Maybe I'm just nitpicking. I definitely am nitpicking.
I thought the front stuck out because it was covering his nose.
Yeah, but I don't know. It just looked weird.
Matt's got a long nose. Come on, give him a break, dude.
All right. Well, I'm
Which
just picking on
you
you
got a
now.
problem? You got a problem with people with long noses?
I
That's
do.
not nice.
I mean, Pinocchio,
Screw that guy, huh?
pretty much. I don't know. It was good though. It was good. Well, that's the thing is like it shouldn't really have covered his nose. I don't know why they did that. Like you
Um,
could pull off the mask without it really going that far down because the original Daredevil didn't go all the way down to the end of the nose.
believe. Well, for the again, are we talking the black costume or the red one?
Red.
Oh, yeah. So the red one is. Yeah, I just like I said, I would like them to tweak it a little bit more.
Right.
And it does seem like it's something that they will tweak. I'm assuming just
Mhm.
because. Well, they gave themselves an out in the movie in the show itself because they
Mhm.
did have him. Whenever he went to pick it up, the guy was like, "It's not finished yet,"
Yeah.
and it's just kind of like, "Don't care, ain't got
Yeah.
time, ain't got time for your nonsense. Give me."
Right.
Um, so they could tweak it, and from that perspective, the fact that they've tweaked Captain America's costume in every film also makes me think that they'll make some changes to it.
It's
Uh,
possible. I mean, are they in filming already or?
for season 2, yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yep. So yeah, overall the costume, that was one thing that I felt like I when I first saw it I was like, huh,
It's really dark.
I don't know. I kind of actually do like the Affleck costume better.
It seemed like it was a little bit closer to some of the
Yeah, it was more
earlier
comic book
costumes. Yeah.
design. So yeah, I actually like the Daredevil costume a little bit more. I understand going for this design style. I like the fabric that they used for the Netflix series.
Yeah. Make it.
The other thing I really jumped out at me that I liked about the Affleck costume was the mask looked like just a solid mask,
Right.
whereas all the lines that are all over the Daredevil Netflix costume make it look like it almost looks like one of the characters out of Watchmen.
I'm not
Like
sure which one you're referring to.
he's got the here. Let me share you a picture. He's got this. There's almost like the eye mask part of it, and then the top mask cowl is a separate part.
Right.
So I don't know. It just he looks
It's
not
too
daredevil-y to me.
not daredevil-y.
Yeah, he needs to look more daredevil-y.
That's right. Come on, Marvel, get it together. Jeez.
Yeah. So,
It wasn't
but they,
bad. It's just little nitpicky things that I.
yeah,
That,
but I mean, they'll definitely do some tweaking, I'm sure. So, I'm not gonna, I'm not too concerned about it.
yeah.
And the
Um.
show itself was fantastic. So
Just keep
it's,
that up, and we're good. Keep the writing well done, and I'm happy with it, even with the little costume tweaks that I'd like to see.
yeah.
So let's see. I had
Uh,
something.
Back on San Diego Comic Con, we've got so we've covered I think everything for DC
Yep.
that they had at the deal. But over at Fox, they had Fantastic Four. Let's skip that.
Yeah.
No one cares. Oh, they there is one other thing for
Right
DC.
along.
They did say that Green Lantern reboot will be officially titled Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah.
So that'll
It's
actually
gonna be
just
like a
be right out there in
group.
space with the whole group and everything.
Yep.
Yeah, Fantastic Four looks bad. Uh, Marvel did show. They did have a trailer out for X-Men Apocalypse. Did you see that?
Did they?
Mm-hmm.
I missed it.
Yeah,
Well,
it got leaked. It is out there.
of course it did.
They don't show a whole lot. It's pretty short. But there's some good things and bad things. It's funny. Apparently, Singer is actually saying X-Men Apocalypse is actually the true birth of the X-Men. So that's kind of interesting. I'm wondering if that kind of means that they're going to actually go comic book with it. They're going to actually have them be wearing costumes and stuff like that after this.
Mm-hmm.
There's also I'm trying to find if there's an image of Apocalypse from the deal, but from like a screenshot or a screen cap of them. Obviously, it's hard to get because it's just on the crappy little footage. But his skin is
Right.
blue, so they do have his skin actually blue.
Well, the little thing at the end of the movie where they showed him he was
Yeah, he had
blue.
the grayish blue skin there.
Yeah.
So they did keep that. He does have kind of like He's wearing something on his head that comes up like the two pointed lines that are sort of similar to it, but it looks like he's wearing kind of a helmet sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's got the blue lips with the lines off to the side, but the way they've got the helmet mask on, it kind of gives it the same sort of design in a way. To some extent, I was a little disappointed. I was hoping they'd go all out with the full blue lips and the lines that go up the jawline and over back to the ears. But I'm not like, I'm not, oh my God, it sucks because they didn't do it.
Right.
The only thing that really got me, and it could be, again, that this is a preview, and I'm hoping that they do a little bit of work with it. Ironically, I complain about the post-production work on...
A trailer?
No, the post-production work on The Dark Knight, where they altered Bale's voice even further. I complain about that, but I'm really hoping they do post-production alterations on his voice for Apocalypse, because he did not sound intimidating.
Oh.
Like, it sounded almost kind of like a lighter voice mixed with a little bit of a whisper. I mean, and all he really does is all he says is, "Let me show you." So it's not like there's a whole lot as far as that goes, but I don't know. It's one of those things that it seems kind of weird. But we'll see how it plays out. Storm has her mohawk. So that was kind of
a huge
cool.
fan of that.
It's
I don't know.
I like it because it's, remember, it is placed in the 80s.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I kind of like it.
A little bit better.
Yeah, I kind of like them having the mohawk for her in the 80s. Now the flip side of it is they are just kind of, I mean, it's Bryan Singer, so he's butchering everything story-wise that he can, doing whatever the hell he wants.
Hands on.
So apparently the Horsemen. You ready for who the four horsemen of Apocalypse are in this movie?
Sure.
Apparently it is Magneto, Psylocke, Storm, and Archangel.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, because why not?
Apparently Storm is one of the horsemen, Magneto, and Psylocke. I'm just like, what?
Oh, come on, give me a minute. Give me a minute. I'll explain. Give me a minute. No, I don't know.
What?
I got nothing.
What?
What?
So, yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of one of those things we've come to just expect the X-Men movies are going to be their own thing. They're not going to follow the comics. You'll kind of get a loose inspired by the comics at best.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've done all right. Well, maybe not. All right. I'm just now sending you something that I just came across. Sorry to interrupt our Comic-Con, but this is actually kind of a big deal that I didn't know about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, apparently Satoru Iwata has passed away, the CEO of Nintendo. Due to he passed away on July 11th, which I don't know time zone wise. Is it still July 11th in Japan?
No, they're ahead of us. It's the 13th.
Oh, well, I guess I'm just way behind, and I didn't know about this. I'm surprised because most of my friends would post this kind of stuff on Facebook.
Well, and even IGN shows here that they posted it today. So
yeah. So sad to hear that. Very sad to hear that. Sorry to derail the podcast, but
that is disappointing.
As always, I'm always kind of looking at stuff and while we're talking, so that just came up while I was looking for stuff for the X-Men Apocalypse trailer. I guess they took that one down pretty quick because I can't find it.
I saw the... Yeah, I'm a little... This is kind of nervous. With this comment, one of the very first comics at IGN. This is too bad. With this happening, I can see Nintendo going with someone who is less console focused and probably take Nintendo into more of a mobile gaming direction. They'll probably hire a corporate yes man to please board members.
Yeah,
that is concerning.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Well, we can only time will tell, really.
Yeah. We shall see.
Huh. It's terrible news, and I wish I could say, his family is in my thoughts, but they're definitely not listening to this. So.
You don't know his family anyway.
I know, but I feel bad for him. I was just looking here, linked to an article from 2012, some of his accomplishments, and he was apparently a designer first,
Hmm.
having done some stuff for Nintendo. Programmer in the 80s, worked his way up to the CEO, so that's kind of cool. He was in. He was the boss of HAL Laboratory. He was yeah, which is a big deal if you're a fan of Kirby, because that's kind of their main game. They've done some other. Did they do? Are they Smash Brothers? I can't recall.
Uh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so Smash Brothers and Kirby fans. He was in charge of them for a while. Oh, that just completely derailed everything.
Yeah, no kidding. Way to
Sorry
go.
about that. Sorry, listeners. Bad news. I had some other stuff too, so let's see, where were we? So you were talking about X-Men Apocalypse. I was actually looking at a story, and that Storm is part of the Horsemen.
Hmm.
So in that vein, I was looking at a story that Halle
Oh.
Berry is actually talking about getting a solo Storm movie made.
Yeah, if the fans demand it, it could happen. And to
I
my
know.
knowledge, there has been no rumblings to make it happen.
Right. What fan is demanding it? I think her friends. It's her entourage are the only ones that are demanding it.
Yeah. So there's a link for you for the still image. They do have a still image out from the image of Storm and Apocalypse there.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I think the Mohawk works
Yeah.
with that. It's not full Mohawk, but
You don't go
um,
full Mohawk.
yeah. And from what I've seen, like description wise, they've said that Apocalypse looks straight from the comic. Like, so I'm assuming he's got like the cables from his back to his arms and stuff like that. I'm hoping anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Although it's kind of weird because like the actor has described Apocalypse as kind of like a cult leader, and one of his powers is he can persuade people. And I'm like, that's not one of his powers at all.
Yeah.
Not even remotely one of his powers.
Since when
So,
is staying true to the comics and what power superheroes has? Like, when has
yeah.
that
Since
ever
when does
stopped
Fox
them?
give a damn?
That's right. That's right. Looking at you first, Deadpool.
Now, on the flip side of that, there is another rumor that has popped out here recently, and this is really a big, fascinating thing. And to talk about it, I actually have to talk about uh, what we said we weren't going to talk about, and that is Fantastic Four.
You said that, but I went along with it because it's hard not to agree with that.
Yeah. So, Fantastic Four, one of the things that people have been looking at is like, man, it seems like they're kind of easing back off the. It doesn't seem like they're really pushing the. It doesn't seem like they're pushing the marketing for it as much. I mean, it's coming out here in like a month. It comes
Yeah.
out next month, and it doesn't seem like they're pushing it a whole lot. It seems like there's a little bit of marketing and everything, and so some people are speculating: are they trying to downplay it because they realize it's not that good? Yada yada yada
I know
yada.
that you and I aren't the only ones that have been critical of the the trailer and stuff. So yeah, they're probably like, oh yeah, we're coming out with that. That's gonna happen.
Yeah,
Sure.
but so I saw it's been kind of like a really low level, rumbling sort of thing.
Hmm.
But there's been some. I saw something just recently here that, and they basically said take this with the biggest grain of salt you could possibly find. But the kind of roiling rumor is that Marvel and Fox may be going back to the negotiating table to try and work out a deal similar to Spider-Man with the X-Men and Fantastic Four.
That would be good. I don't know.
And
Fantastic Four, I think Fox would be a lot more willing to give up than
yeah, I
X-Men
think that's
because it's
definitely I
been.
think that's definitely true. But the suggestion was that the idea is that they may be building up towards a Avengers versus X-Men, which is another big huge comic event. And so the idea of it being, okay, if this were to happen, again, this is super early,
Total
huge grain of
speculation.
salt.
Yeah.
Don't expect it to be anything, even if it is true, if it is happening, if this is something that they're working on trying to make happen,
Yeah.
you wouldn't expect any announcement for a few years. But the idea was basically is, after Infinity War, what do you do next?
Right.
The idea was to slowly build up to an X-Men versus Avengers crossover. Now, if they did that, there's a few things that kind of support this idea. It's been for months now they've been talking about them being back in the negotiating table. Marvel, they basically have to get Marvel's permission in
Yeah.
order to get a TV series going, and apparently they want to do Marvel or Fox wants to do a TV series. So they've been supposedly trying to negotiate that out, and then you've got obviously Marvel wants the X-Men back, sort of thing.
Right.
I have to imagine that Fox would be willing to go back to the table to get a share of the Marvel money.
Right.
Especially if they're apparently the Sony leaks even talked about Marvel having negotiation talks with Fox in the Sony email leaks, and which was part of what prompted Sony to talk to Marvel about Spider-Man.
Right.
So it's kind of one of those things that I wouldn't be surprised if it is happening. Marvel's been strong arming; they've been changing T-shirts and posters and taking X-Men and Fantastic Four out, putting different characters in their place on classic comic covers, which is annoying. But they've been just kind of choking it out in different ways. But the X-Men still have comics. They're going to continue to have their comics going. We've got Hugh Jackman is leaving, obviously, after Wolverine. That's his final film.
Yeah.
The third Wolverine movie will be his final one. We've got them saying that X-Men Apocalypse is the conclusion of this trilogy. It seems like a decent place to kind of close things and kind of determine what to do going forward.
Right.
So I don't know if it's true. If it did happen, that would be pretty awesome to kind of see how they realign things and make it work.
Right.
Watching season 2 of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been kind of fun, but also painful because everything they're doing with the Inhumans is a blatant X-Men story. Some of the characters are blatantly X-Men.
Yeah, I remember you had mentioned that.
So that's kind of one of those. I'm like, meh, meh.
I still haven't watched the second season. I'm not gonna lie. I've actually been kind of busy working on some other projects lately.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, the idea is that it could be Phase 4 sort of thing. So I don't know. I mean, that it could just be wishful thinking being reported as nonsense. But
We get a lot of that. A lot of that happens in nerddom. I guess in the real world too, but
it's
not
also
as exciting to me.
It's also just there's a lot of hope, I think, involved with it. There's a lot of hope.
Yeah, well, we nerds are full of hope for about a minute, and then we go on the internet and we complain
Yes.
about why it didn't happen the way we wanted it to.
There's also word has now come out. Wesley Snipes says that he's met with Marvel to discuss doing a new Blade movie.
Oh, has it actually? I've heard rumor, or I guess read rumors, but I didn't know that they had actually talked to each other officially.
Yeah, apparently. I mean, according to Wesley himself, he's claiming that he's met with them to talk about it.
Well, I mean, it's not like he's got anything else going on. I'm sure he needs to get a little money now that he's finally out of prison.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no. That'd be cool. God, I don't even remember. What was his last film before he went in?
I don't recall, actually.
Let's see. He was in the most recent. Was it Untouchable? The Disposables? I don't remember. I don't think that's it. That's not the name of the movie. It's probably not The Disposables. Sorry, I had something pop up that's making a lot of noise. That's why I sound a little weird. Or sound like I don't know what's going on. Like, what's going on?
What's happening?
Expendables. That's what I was looking for.
Oh yeah, he was in that, wasn't he?
He was in the most recent one. It's the first thing he's done since getting out of prison.
Yeah.
I think, because he just recently got out. So yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to see that. I can't remember if the third one was any good or not.
The third Blade film was not very good, but it was. I mean, it was just kind of a weird script that they went with.
It happens.
So
Okay.
yeah, it would be definitely interesting to see. Let's see here. Actually, this is an interview with Deadline where they asked him, "Will you be bringing the Vampire Hunter back?" And Snipes says, "The project is controlled by Marvel. We did have a really productive and wonderful meeting. We discussed a number of things. I don't know where it's on their schedule at this point. That hasn't been decided. I guess it's still up in the air. Could we see you ever expanding Marvel Universe in another way? That's a possibility too. I've always been a fan of these pieces and adaptations. I'd be nice to be a part of the family again. But if we don't do a Blade 4 or something else with Marvel, we'd do something else. we have some other characters and some other concepts that are going to be exciting, hopefully just as successful. And then he basically goes into talking about some other things. They talk about Black Panther. Um, do you think the tide is turning to have more African American superheroes? And he says, I don't know. It takes more than one situation to make it a trend.
Right.
One wouldn't qualify it as a trend or a real shift in the tides yet. We'll have to see how well the things do, how well the characters are presented. Clearly, there's an audience for it, domestically and international. I only know a few guys, and I know that only a few guys can do this, so it's kind of hard. Not everybody can do comic book adaptation thing and make it believable. It's challenging.
Right.
So, I don't know. I would personally, I liked him as Blade, so
Yeah.
I seriously wouldn't necessarily be opposed to him playing Blade again. But at the same time, it's kind of like, it seems like maybe you would want someone new to play the character.
Yeah, because he played him last in like the early 2000s, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, it looks like he was only imprisoned for 3 years, so like he wasn't in that long. His career hasn't been great.
Yeah, he's 52 now, so
yeah, he probably wouldn't fit the role as well anymore as he did back then.
Yeah.
Even then, he was probably kind of old for it, but he pulled it off.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Let's grab a quick look at some images and see what he looks like for. What did he look like in the Expendables?
Old, but I think that's kind of their bit.
Well, yeah, that's their bit. But I mean, like, you look at, for example, you look at Stallone, and you say, okay, yeah, Stallone's old, but he could probably crush my head with his bare hands. I mean, he's still as fit as can be.
Is it fiddle, maybe? No? Let's see here.
Yeah, I mean, Snipes,
not too bad.
For the most part, looks like Snipes. So, yeah. I don't know. Maybe he could do it.
Actually, he could probably pull it off then.
At the same time, I don't know. I'd probably be tempted to say maybe get someone new to play Blade, but if they did go forward and said, hey, we want to get Snipes to play him again, I wouldn't be against it. I would not be opposed. It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of extra makeup because Blade as a character, I don't think ages really.
Yeah, so. I don't remember if he has like not ages or slow ages or what exactly with him being part vampire.
I don't remember either. He doesn't have the sunlight thing, so that's good.
He's able to walk around. Now on the flip side, I did read apparently they're having a new Slayer Daywalker in the comics, and basically I don't know if it's going to be like Blade's protege or what, but they're going to have a female replacing Blade for a little while apparently. And I'm like,
why wouldn't you? Really?
Yeah, it's kind of like I'm kind of getting to the point now. I'm just like, so are we just going to replace every character that's been a guy with a female version of that same character, and we're just going to kind of abandon any thought of, I don't know, new characters? We're just not doing that anymore. We just don't want new characters. We'll just kind of say, it's Thor, but a woman. It's Blade, but a woman. It's come on. The only one that's like stood out at me recently here is Lara, who's taking over as Wolverine, and it is basically Logan's daughter via cloning. But she's been around for I don't know, maybe close to a decade now when she first appeared.
I have no idea.
And she's had a long time like of developing alongside Logan and working under him and kind of being mentored by him and all this other stuff. So she has definitely earned the place to. If anyone was going to take over the character, then that's the one that I was hoping would be the one. So, but that does remind me, with comic book news and DC and Batman and everything's Batman right now, there was one other thing that came out of San Diego Comic-Con that no one expected that I'm really looking forward to, not with the movies, but with the comics.
Okay.
This November,
mm-hmm.
IDW is doing a crossover comic, a 6-part miniseries with DC, and Batman will have 4 new heroes temporarily in Gotham to fight alongside him. They wear colored bandanas and are trained in ninjutsu.
Oh, yeah. I did see something about that, actually.
I saw that. I was like, this is ridiculous. The most awesome thing ever.
That'll be entertaining. I never really got into those comics, honestly. I don't think I've ever read. I think I've maybe read one or two of them, and just never
The new
really.
the new ones have been fantastic.
Yeah.
Since IDW rebooted and started them and everything,
Yeah.
they've been really, really great. It's been a fantastic expansion of the. So it's kind of one of the things where the movies tried to take parts of it, I think. But you get a lot of movies where like oh, we're going to tinker with their origin and change their origin and everything,
Yeah.
and it just flops. It doesn't work at all.
Right.
IDW changed their origin and it worked phenomenally well.
Nice.
There's a few purists who still feel like it's like kind of ridiculous what they did, but I think it worked beautifully well. And that is essentially the change was that the Turtles and Splinter they're all humans that were it was basically Hamato Yoshi and his four sons were humans during feudal Japan era, and they were part of the Foot Clan, and Oroku Saki basically became head of the Foot Clan. Uh, he was kind of taking it down a more dishonorable path. There was obviously disagreement between him and Yoshi. One thing leads to another, and Yoshi ends up basically not doing what he's told. It's seen as a betrayal against the clan. His execution is ordered. He escapes, and eventually they track them down. They find them, and uh, Oroku Saki executes all of his children in front of him, and then beheads Hamato Yoshi. And then jump ahead into modern times, and Hamato Yoshi is reincarnated as a rat. The sons are reincarnated as turtles, and after they're dosed, Splinter starts actually getting kind of some memories, some flashbacks and memories of his past lives.
Yeah.
After the experiments that are done on him as a rat start to give him a little bit more of a consciousness.
Yeah.
And then once they're actually doused with the ooze, then he remembers more of his past and his past life sort of thing. But it's really done really well. Like Leonardo has more flashes of his past, like in dreams and visions. But Leonardo's kind of presented as the more spiritual of the four. Mikey and Raph aren't really too much into that, and Donatello thinks it's complete nonsense. So there's like it was interesting. Like the first 12 to maybe 15 issues, there was actually more friction between Leo and Don than there was between Leo and Raph.
That's definitely different.
Yeah, but it worked. I mean, it was the spiritual and science aspects kind of rubbing against each other.
Right.
And then they also did a really clever thing with having, like when they first were mutated, something happened with them as they were still turtles that Raph got separated from them. So for a year, Raph wasn't part of the group. So he's basically living on the streets, just as a freak and trying to survive. And meanwhile, Splinter's training the other three in how to be ninjas. And basically he gives them all red bandanas to wear in honor of Raphael because that was his favorite color.
Yeah.
And for a year they're searching for Raph, and so once they finally find him, then he gives them their bandanas that was basically each of their favorite colors. And that also kind of establishes, they say that once he starts training, it comes to Raph really quickly that he starts getting that ninjutsu and everything, but that also kind of establishes him having a little bit more of a street fight style to his fighting.
Right.
Because for the first year he was street fighting basically.
Right.
He was running into thugs and just fighting them bare knuckles.
Right. And then they go and kill Donatello.
No, not really. So, and he's apparently back to normal, I think, by issue 50 for the big showdown with Shredder.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that's been pretty interesting too. Currently, he's in a robot body.
Why not?
Well, he was a cyborg in the old Image comics at one point. I think it was in Image.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, Image went crazy. They went and did some really wild stuff. But yeah, they've done a lot of different things with him, and right now it's like it's not like he's just in a robot body. His normal body is still there. It's just injured and he's in a coma, and they're basically trying to find a way to heal his body.
Oh, okay.
In the meantime, his consciousness is in Metalhead, in the robot. So
yeah, I remember Metalhead. It's one of the few things I do remember.
Yeah, so overall, I mean, the comic has been fantastic, and then obviously the flip question is, Shredder, if he was in feudal Japan, how is he in current time? And so they mix in a little bit of Yeah, it is actually. They mix in some mysticism. There's her name's Kitsune. She's basically like based on the Japanese myths. She's a fox demon.
Right.
So she essentially put him into hibernation or stasis over all these years, and so one of his descendants, who is Karai, ends up going. She's the one who basically wakes him up in modern times.
Okay.
And then after that happens, then he tracks down and awakens Kitsune, so he's got her at his side again. But there's like different layers to that too, because Kitsune is apparently part of a pantheon of at least 4 gods, for lack of a better term, that we know of, who kind of have a chess game against each other for who's going to be kind of controlling the earth, sort of thing.
Nice.
So yeah,
Always love gods messing with everybody. That's always fun.
so yeah, it's been really really good. There's a lot of fan service. There's a lot of references to old characters. There's a lot of using old characters again, but in new ways.
Yeah.
Bebop and Rocksteady are as stupid as they used to be, but they're actually a dangerous threat now.
Okay.
Obviously, since they killed Donatello,
Right.
but didn't kill Donatello.
Spoiler alert? I don't know. I don't know that anybody. I don't know. People might have started reading that after that.
Suppose it's possible.
That's exactly why they did that. So
yeah. But yeah, Bebop and Rocksteady bring down a building in one issue. Just by punching through walls, they bring down an entire building.
I've had days like that.
Yeah, I've seen the news. Buildings knocked down by angry man.
I'm not gonna say it's me, but it probably was.
That's right. It's kind of like Hulk. Kind of hulking.
Yeah, we all have those days. So. We really.
But anyway, that shifted off a little bit there into Turtles, away from San Diego Comic-Con.
That's okay. I'm sure that some people involved with that were probably there or something, or there was probably a fan or two.
I'm not sure what else, if there's anything else specific that came out of Comic-Con that was like real big movie-wise. I think that's most of it, other than World of Warcraft, but you're not much of a Warcraft guy, and so I'm not going to go into a rant on the Warcraft stuff.
Let's see,
I mean, as a movie, it'll probably be really good. I think you can probably go see the movie without knowing anything about Warcraft and enjoy it.
Right. Well, I know
obviously, any smart movie, that's the idea. The main description I saw is like, basically everyone said it's kind of like, I don't remember if it was Nerdist or one of them, but one of the sites did say that just the footage they showed, they didn't remember being that excited about that sort of scene being shown since the first time they saw Lord of the Rings. So it's apparently very, very very down to earth, reasonable, but at the same time very large scale and epic.
That's kind of cool.
I have seen some others commenting that it does look. They said it's very clear that this was all filmed on a green screen. That these are not actual sets, which not really a surprise. How could you do any of this with a real set? But they kind of describe the visual tone as, think Avatar, but more dirty and dusty.
Okay.
So, I mean, just as a standalone film without playing Warcraft or anything, I think it'll still be good. I hope it does well. I'm hoping it's a massive success. I'm hoping it's able to contend with Batman v Superman and Cap Civil War and all that, just because if it does well and it's a massive success, it pushes us that much further to Hollywood accepting video games as being a legitimate source for movies, just as they have finally accepted comic books.
Yeah. Warcraft, I see where you're coming from.
Uncharted would be the next one I would hope to be successful video game movies.
I don't know. There's so many people now that complain about video games being too story based now, though. So you got to scale that back a little bit.
Those people can shut up.
Yeah, well, I agree, but apparently that's a thing that they're just like, yeah,
really?
There's too much story. Yeah. There's been some complaint about that. At least maybe it's just trolls on the internet. I don't know. There are people though that I think a lot of them complain more about like. Well, I know some of it came out with. Where am I going here? Metal Gear Solid 5. There were complaints. 5? 4. There were 4. There were complaints about that the cinematics were too long and
too many cutscenes.
Yeah, and then there have been other games that were like that too. And
as I say, Metal Gear Solid is kind of an outlier though, because that's kind of Kojima's thing, is that he wants to blur cinema and video games. That's his whole point to the Metal Gear series.
Right. Well, I'm trying to see if I can find where it was, but I know that I was reading something that somebody was complaining, and it may have just been like a post online, so I may never be able to find it. But um, they were talking about that video games are so focused now on trying to make a story that's touching or whatever that they've forgotten to be video games to some extent.
I
That
can
they're more
understand that.
concerned about making a storyline that's cohesive and emotional, that they are not focusing as much now on actual like, gameplay. Which yeah, to some degree I can agree with that.
Some games, yeah, I
Some
can see
games,
it with
yeah,
some
but
games. It's, I think that may stem from the aspect of things like Gone Home, which got a lot of critical praise,
mhm.
but everyone that actually played the game basically were like, so this there's no real gameplay to this. It's just walk around and click on stuff.
Yeah,
And it's like it's not a game. It's just, oh, we're gonna tell a story. And I know that one got a lot of flack from actual gamers, while critics meanwhile loved it. I think it was also an example of games becoming artsy, where it's
right,
like, critics love the art films, and then the art film makes like, all of $100,000 in the box office.
right.
Meanwhile, Transformers makes billions.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm back and forth on how I feel about it. Like I see what they're saying, but also I'm a fan of a good story. So I mean I guess that's why there are different genres of games. Really, if you're not looking for something that's too story heavy. But I think that was part of the complaint that I was reading though too, is that it's bleeding into other genres that used to be less story heavy, like say action adventure type games and stuff like that. I can't find the article unfortunately, but
Yeah, and I can't think of any examples off the top of my head. I mean, it's it's always to me been, there's always been kind of there's a story, and everything else is kind of included on it. And I mean, really, take a look at any game now. Look at how long to beat on almost any game, and if you look at the story, it's usually like 13 to 20 hours to beat. But if
right,
you go for completion, it's like finding all the other things and doing all the side stuff and playing the game, just
looking at
doing all
you,
the other things.
looking at
It's
your
like,
riddle.
60 hours.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know.
So
I
I
don't
don't
I don't
know.
really
It's kind
understand.
of like, what are you looking for? Are you looking for just more levels of repetitive shoot the people, or
Because there's plenty of those.
yeah? I mean, it's kind of like, if the article had been there, whoever wrote it, I would kind of like to want to know, what is it you're wanting? Like, what are you saying is missing, instead of the story? What's missing? If it's a game like Gone Home, where the argument could be made of there's not much gameplay at all, then okay, I understand that argument. I understand if there's there's nothing to do. I'm just
Right.
walking around clicking on things. Like I would say, the Silent Hill demo, when I played it, I'm like, I can't click on anything. I can't do much of anything. I don't really see there's much gameplay here, but that was also just a demo. So
Right. Um, I
the
was just
the
looking at an article on IGN where they're talking about the question is put out there, is there too much exposition in games, which is from 2010 is when this article is from that I'm reading.
and it's from what
And
site?
IGN,
Hmm. Okay.
here I can send it to you. I think that's part of it though, is they feel like that there's just too much kind of, I don't know, crammed in there. I can't. I don't know. There are games that have to have that, and there are games that don't. Like I know that. Like I was
Like,
playing Pikmin 3 not too long ago, and you need something to hold everything together, but you don't need a lot. Because that game is more about gameplay anyway,
yeah.
as far as I'm
Well, and
concerned.
here's
So.
another. Well, let's see what their example is. Like, they talk about Gears of War, which isn't that a shooter?
Third person, yeah.
Like, their first thing, the ability to chainsaw things in half tells you more about whether or not you want to play this game than the story. That's not exactly an
I
encouraging thing
mean,
for participants in the game writing track of GDC Online to hear, but there's no denying it's necessary. That it's a necessary truth. And I'm like, yeah, I guess for shooters, then yeah, generally the people who are playing shooters don't give a damn about story. They just want to mindlessly shoot things. They
yeah,
just want to frag noobs, yo.
yeah. I mean, I can agree with it somewhat. The article, if you go on to read it later, talks about that good exposition needs to kind of be not really hidden in there, but it needs to be paced well, because there are a lot of games that have become a little bit like Metal Gear Solid 4 again. Sometimes it's just like, okay, there's not a lot happening here. That's one thing I felt like that Arkham Knight did really well. There was exposition, but things were still happening a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
there
or
were a few scenes here.
an example of it done extremely poorly, where I would basically say is like the bulk of the story was stuffed away to where you basically had to find it if you wanted to know anything, is Final Fantasy 13.
Hmm.
And that's kind of a big trend in the opposite direction. An RPG you expect to be heavily story based.
Right.
Final Fantasy 13 required you to find every journal entry and all the little codex things and read them to have any clue what they were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't work for me. That's probably one of the reasons I didn't like that game. Besides that, I didn't care for the battle system. But.
Yeah, I didn't care for it either. On the flip side, though, it's like then you look at Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age Inquisition, and they do a really good job of telling you the main points of the story during gameplay as you progress through the story.
Right.
But they had hundreds and hundreds of texts that you could find, but they all built the world around you and like the history of the world rather than needing you to read them to know just what the heck's going on.
Yeah, Elder Scrolls is similar to that too. There's a lot of text and stuff that you can read that would give you
Elder
more
Scrolls
of the history.
Also kind of a genre unto itself almost in the way it's designed because it's so sandbox.
Yeah, yeah. But,
so sandbox, much exploration.
I had a friend that was giving. Yeah, right. I remember one friend giving another friend of mine a hard time about not reading all the books and crap. I think it was Oblivion. This is like, I don't read all the books and stuff because it's all. I mean, it's interesting, but at the end of the day, I want to go play.
Yeah.
I think they're reading all these books about the history of a made-up world. It's very cool that they had people that created all of that, but I can only read that for so long.
Yeah. So I think let's shift.
There was a little bit of Comic-Con Star Wars.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah, but I'm not reading, watching, or looking at a damn thing for those films. I don't want Star Wars fans, and us being them, I can say this. Star Wars fans are the type that are going to comb through every imaginable detail that's given in any way, shape, or form. And if I pay attention to it, then I'm going to wind up by December knowing the entire film from front to back.
Okay.
Unless the creators do a damn good job of extremely carefully hiding everything they want hidden. So instead, I'm avoiding Star Wars so I can go into it blind and just be blown away by whatever they give us.
All right. One way that could be blown away either direction, really.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I either go in and come out really disappointed, or I go in coming out going, "Whoa! I didn't see that coming. It's so awesome."
I'd like to see it. I saw a couple of things. They kind of talked a little bit about the villain and stuff. So, and then they're talking about Rogue One, like the shooting schedule for Rogue One, which is one of the side films. So, wasn't anything really big, honestly. I just didn't know if you wanted to talk about it, but apparently not.
Nope, not.
Okay. Well,
not
then what do
aware
you
of
want
anything.
to talk about?
We've got 30 minutes left. Let's talk about Arkham Knight.
Stare at the clock for 30 minutes. Okay,
Yes.
let's go ahead and just say that there are going to be spoilers. So
we are talking about Arkham Knight. We're not staring at the clock.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm okay
All
with
right.
that.
We're on the same page.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So this is the point where if you haven't played the game and you don't want to know anything, just go ahead and turn off this podcast because we'll talk about spoilers from here on out.
Yep, pretty much. So let's see. I don't remember where we left off. I don't remember where I was the last time we talked about it. I think we tried to go really spoiler-free.
We've not talked much about the game at all so far.
Okay. So I finished it except for the Riddler stuff because that's just ridiculous.
Did you watch the complete 100% ending on YouTube yet?
I've read a description of it. I haven't watched it on YouTube yet.
Okay.
But that brings about a point that was brought to me by someone else who's playing the game, and it is on the PlayStation 4 version. I don't know which version you're playing.
PS4.
Yes. So the PlayStation 4, one of the things that they were talking about when it was coming out is that you'll be able to more easily share Uplays online on Twitch and whatever. And it kept popping up on mine and also his. It would pop up and say
There are certain scenes they don't let you share.
Yeah, certain scenes you don't let you share.
Mm-hmm.
The problem that I have with that is it's kind of a spoiler itself. It's like, hey, a big thing is about to happen that we don't want other people to see. There's got to be a better way to do that. It seemed really, really clunky. Like, there's got to be a way to just be like, I don't know, that if somebody comes back to him and says, hey, why didn't this stream? They'd be like, we didn't want everybody to see it. Not just have it pop up right in the middle of the game. It's
or
just
maybe
kind of
just
distracting.
Or maybe just have something in your settings that you can go in there and turn it off to say, do not show notifications.
Right. That would work too.
Yeah, that could work. I mean, it doesn't bother me. I just, if that pops up, I'm like, all right, whatever. It doesn't distract me. I just kind of just keep on rolling.
Yeah, I did too. It was just something that was brought to my attention that I didn't really think about until it was brought. It's like, oh yeah, I guess it does kind of spoil the fact that some big scene is about to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was enjoying the game too much to pay any attention to all that.
Yeah, and I suppose that would be something I would assume would be pretty easy to just turn off, go into your options in your PlayStation and basically have an option to say, do not display notifications when streaming is unavailable or whatever.
Whatever the thing is. Well, yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have been as big a deal if I was actually streaming, but I don't stream anything, so
right.
Why do I need that notification anyway? The notification would make sense if it says recording stopped if I was actually recording something.
Well, but isn't it? I guess that's the thing, though. You are actively recording at all times, because if you hit the share button, it goes back and grabs the last X number of gameplay that you were just doing. It doesn't. It doesn't start. It doesn't. The share button doesn't start when you hit the share button. It actually can grab the last little bit of what just happened.
Okay. See, I don't mess with any of that. I don't want to watch other people play games.
There's only been one time that I was disappointed that I forgot about the share button, and that was playing Assassin's Creed Black Flag, because I was at the very top of this castle, basically, for all intents and purposes. It's a fort out on an island, and I hit a button wrong. I was like trying to go one direction, and instead I accidentally made him essentially jump off the highest point, and it was like as he jumped off, I looked down and went, yeah, there's no way I'm surviving this. But the way it actually panned out, because I was like trying to move and see if I could do anything, and it's like he jumped off and hit the side of the mountain, slid down part of it, jumped off, hit a wall, jumped off, slid down the last of the mountain down to the bottom of it, and it just came out one of those things. It was like, holy crap, that was awesome. And I didn't even think about the share button. And if I had, it would be like, that would have been one of the best things I could have ever shared, ever.
Yeah. I don't know. I never got into all that. I'm sending you a picture just because it was funny. But anyway. Yeah, there were a couple times I was just like, oh, there's nobody here. I agree with you. It would be nice to share, but nobody would. Isn't that the best?
I has a cat. So I think we did mention before the Riddler. So you did the races to.
Yeah, I got everything done except for the 250 million trophies and challenges and all that.
So whenever you're going down and Riddler's talking on the projected screens and everying, does he not look like Stephen Colbert?
Yeah, I think we kind of talked about that a little.
We mentioned that before. So
yeah.
So there's that. So overall, like they said that they had created a new character for Arkham for the Arkham Knight himself, blah blah blah.
Right.
But I think anyone who knew Batman saw it coming pretty far ahead that it was definitely Jason Todd.
Apparently, it was it's a storyline from a comic, from an earlier comic.
It's
Batman
essentially Under the Red Hood.
Yeah, that's it.
For all intents and purposes, it's basically the Red Hood storyline, which I actually have that story arc in the comics.
Okay.
The only thing that they kind of did out of sequence was Hush was a big part of that whole storyline as well. And they kind of addressed Hush more in Arkham City, and you saw the conclusion of the Hush storyline in Arkham Knight, and that was with Tommy Elliott.
Yeah.
So
So
that was kind of that. But yeah, it was kind of one of those things that everyone was kind of like, okay, so now we're seeing that there's Red Hood story DLC, and yeah, Arkham Knight is definitely Jason Todd. And but I'll give them credit. I assumed it was Jason Todd, but by about the time that I got to the studios where you actually get the flashbacks of Joker killing Jason Todd and everything,
uh,
I actually started to doubt if Arkham Knight was Jason Todd because I almost started to think that maybe they was almost setting it up too clearly to be Jason.
yeah,
And I thought
same.
that maybe they were going to kind of fake you out with, okay, everything points to Jason, but surprise, it's someone
It's
else.
actually somebody else. Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I was
but
too. I thought I
yeah,
didn't
it turned
really,
out.
I didn't think it was going to be as ham-fisted as it kind of was. Like, hey, here's this thing that Batman and he feels really guilty about it, and it's not. That's not who it is, but it totally is.
Yeah. Yeah, so there was that. Like I said, I didn't really suspect Oracle to be dead, like just because of the way they did the scene.
Yeah.
The fact that Joker comes up in front of it and then you see her dead, and then the only thing I really wish I would have done right when it happened, and I can't remember if it forces you to leave as part of the cutscene or if you actually walk out yourself. But
Mhm.
I wish I would have thought to actually change into detective vision and see if it shows you what it shows you in detective vision for what looked to be her.
The corpse or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't recall
Um,
if it does make you leave or not. I don't remember.
but so yeah, so pretty much like when I saw that, I was like, I don't think that they would have killed Oracle, and he's doped up on fear gas, and I'm starting to see more Joker billboards.
Right.
I'm starting to think she's not dead. So yeah, that part didn't really shock me, but um,
It did me. I shed a few tears. I didn't.
oh
It
yeah,
was sad.
when it actually happened, it was like there was like I was definitely like, did really did no you but did, yes but no
Yeah. It
they
was.
no
It was well done the way that it was. The way that it was
yeah it was
recorded.
definitely well done. At the same time, overall, I'm still kind of like you get through all that, I'm like yeah nah Scarecrow's still really not really a high threat villain to me.
I don't know. After they did the burst thing, I don't know.
Yeah, the
They,
Cloudburst was pretty cool.
I was, I was surprised that they didn't do any of the weird scarecrow levels like they did in the earlier games. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's apparently only DLC, which you actually got for free with your if you got on PS4. It's one of the
yeah,
codes that's in there. But
I haven't even played with any of the. I take that back. I did play a little bit of the Harley Quinn. I was not impressed. I didn't.
yeah, I wish
It
I
was
would have.
just
I wanted to play the Harley Quinn first because I think I mentioned it last week. I wanted to play that first because it's a prequel, and I was like, I'd rather play through that prequel and actually play through the Harley Quinn part before playing the actual Batman stuff.
right. I
But
played
yeah,
part of it. I wasn't real impressed. It's a lot. It's the fighting isn't as smooth. I don't
yeah.
feel like with her, which I'm sure is intentional,
Oh yeah.
since she's not, trained in martial arts and stuff like
Well,
Batman was.
even
But
playing in Arkham Asylum, I think it was when you just did the challenge things.
mhm.
And played as Joker, it played very differently playing as Joker than it did.
Yeah,
But some of the Joker stuff was also amusing. So
yeah. Not so much in this one. Like when you start playing as Joker, it was pretty dark, and
yeah, walking around with the gun and shooting people and
yeah, the whole tank sequence, just it was entirely too long. Like pretty much that whole Joker sequence, I understood what they were going for,
I
but I felt like it
liked
could have ended sooner.
I liked it well enough afterwards. But yeah, the tank one it was just a really long time, and it
Yeah,
was like it was long because there was no point to it because it's not like anyone could
right,
hurt you.
right.
So that was
So,
kind of meh.
yeah.
Now that's the
Um,
part that kind of gets me as far as this whole plot goes, though.
mhm,
I was like, okay, this is kind of so in Arkham City, Joker injects Batman with the blood.
right.
Then Batman gets a cure for the Titan formula, which he
Hmm.
gives himself, but he doesn't give Joker because Joker breaks the vial inadvertently.
Right.
But it turns out that that didn't do anything because the people that had the other people that had been injected and Batman himself are still infected by it.
Right. So why did
So
he do
I'm
it?
like, so I'm guessing. Well, I'm guessing it neutralized the Titan formula because Joker was looking pretty bad
At
in
the end
Arkham
there.
City.
Yeah.
Just his the boils and everything that were forming on his skin. So I'm guessing that the serum did neutralize the Titan overdose.
Yeah.
But then that would then suggest that it's just Joker's blood itself is what
And-
causes the insanity, which I guess could still make sense because he was, exposed to high levels of chemicals. So you could make the argument that his blood has chemicals in it and it causes insanity. But turning people into Joker seems a bit much.
eh. Yeah, no, I don't know. I agree with you. I don't feel like
But
that they
then,
really
but
explained that very well.
yeah, and then it all boils down to in the end of the only thing that really had to happen to prevent the fear gas and Joker's blood from driving you insane was just to have willpower.
Right.
And it's just kind of like,
Did he not have enough
okay.
before? Because I'm pretty sure that he has quite a bit of it.
Yeah, it's like,
Vacation.
well, I mean, I guess to some extent he was never really concerned about himself. He was trying to cure the other people.
Right.
And it only really infected him because of the fear gas. So, but
True.
at the same time, I don't know. The whole I like the whole having the darker aspect of it, but there were some definite parts where this plot felt a lot weaker than other ones have.
I agree.
I
They
did
were just
like
kind of
having
trying to wrap it
Joker.
up.
I liked having Joker in your mind because having random scenes where he's like on a building when you come up to the top of it and he
Oh my
talks to
god,
you.
the first time that happened, I nearly died.
Yeah,
What is? Oh, it's just Joker.
yeah. Like when you're going up and like right when you get to the ledge, he sticks his head over and
Yeah,
starts talking to you, or
yeah.
there's one that was like they did it as a cutscene, but the other ones were like you just be like gliding along, and when you land, he was just there and starts talking.
Yeah, yeah. No, it was kind of cool. I'm glad that they were able to like integrate him into the game like that because this is no really truly for reals, guys. This is the last time they're playing Batman and Joker for reals this time.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and I mean, it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, man, I was kind of expecting there to be some sort of twist actually for Joker to have been alive.
yeah, I was too actually through the whole game. That was something that I was at one point thinking maybe the Arkham Knight was him, but then I'm like, no,
Nah,
he's
he's
way
too.
too coherent.
Yeah, well, I was actually kind of thinking that what they might do is something post credits or whatever,
Hmm.
where they kind of revealed that okay, we know that he's got these other people infected with his blood.
Hmm.
So I was kind of thinking, what if it turned out that it wasn't Joker that was infected that died in Arkham City? What if it was like a person that had been injected earlier and was already crazy because they
Yeah,
had turned into Joker?
that makes sense. I actually thought it
Um,
was going to end up being that principal guy. Honestly, I
yeah.
thought he was going to like, if not, if get taken over because he had the look.
Hmm.
I thought he was going to like be taken over and, you know, be Joker from that point until whenever.
Yeah.
But then he does, kills himself.
Yeah. To cleanse the gene pool because the only true Joker would have been the one in Batman.
So, yeah,
Yes.
it was a little clumsy.
Yeah. There's a lot of things in the story were just not as good as the last two. Um, and I did feel like they really went overboard with the amount of stuff that they had you doing with the Batmobile.
Yeah, I agree with you there. There was I expected it to be in there and I expected it to be, used, but it should have I felt like not been I felt like it should have been more something that was used to get around and then in some of the side quest stuff. I felt
Hmm.
like that it was a little bit too heavily used in the main quest. Because
Yes.
it was tough. Like,
Especially with the whole things of, okay, let me get into this building and go down into the bottom, sub basements of the building. Oh, there's something. Okay, I need to find a way to get the Batmobile into here now.
right.
It's like, really? And then how does this giant digging machine drive faster than the
Oh, I
Batmobile?
know. That was redonkulous. Also, why no Batwing? Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like,
At
why
least
are
at
we?
least one time, let me fly the freaking Batwing. I don't know.
Shh, they'll make that part of the next game.
Yeah, but they're not coming. They're not making a next game supposedly.
Well,
Especially if you did the Nightfall thing, they can make a next game.
Rocksteady's not making another game, but Warner Brothers will be looking for a way to
Oh,
make another game.
oh yeah, it's their most lucrative franchise, or most lucrative property from DC.
Yeah.
So That doesn't
So,
surprise me at all. It's just, is it going to be any good? Is the question.
and then so that brings us then to the ending.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You mean the ending of this game or the ending of the Nolan films? Because
They're one and the
I was a
same.
little confused. Yeah. It's like, wait a
So
minute.
the first thing that threw me was it seemed like they really kind of cheaped out on it in the just the ending of okay, the live broadcast, and they unmask him and oh my god, Bruce Wayne is Batman, blah 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 blah, and then you go in, you have the psychological struggle, and you overcome Joker, and you're still Batman, blah blah
Right.
blah. But you're still screwed at that point because you're still strapped down. There's nothing you can do to actually fight Scarecrow. Oh wait, there's the Arkham Knight, and Jason Todd came back to save you, and he shoots
Right.
the shackle and lets you free. And
Which I was
then
watching that scene earlier today, and actually he shoots one shackle, and somehow it frees both of your hands. But whatever.
yeah, so that ridiculousness aside, I
Right.
mean it's Batman. He reached over and broke the other one with his free hand, without you
Apparently.
saying it. Shut up. Uh, but like that was extremely minimal use for him to just he's there, he shot, done, that's it.
Right.
And I was really half expecting it to be like he shoots the shackle, you basically grab Scarecrow, you stop him.
Right.
I was expecting Jason to like jump down and there actually be like in a Batman costume and
Yeah.
basically, throw the whole thing into the deal of wait a minute, so they just unmasked Bruce Wayne, but then Batman just saved Bruce Wayne, and
Right.
that would therein set up the whole, explanation of it wasn't really, Bruce Wayne wasn't really Batman, blah 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 blah.
Sure.
Instead of just doing just a quick kind of cop out of Jason helping.
Right.
And it's kind of one of those things like whenever they said like they saw the Alfred says that he's tracking the movement and he says I knew he'd come, blah blah blah.
Hmm.
I just expected that Jason was going to show up as Batman to kind of
Right.
do the whole save sort of thing. And so then they do the whole unmasking. Okay, I understand that concept because this is their final game. They're wanting to make it seem like it's the last game.
Right.
And then the walking into the mansion and blowing it up.
Yeah. That
And
was.
I was like, okay, that seems kind of excessive. And obviously, it's kind of one of those things. It's like obviously Batman's not dead because
Right.
first of all, even if he was, I mean, obviously he's faking his own death because even if he was crazy enough to commit suicide to end the Batman and everything, he's not going to kill Alfred. He's not that much of an asshole.
Right. Sorry, buddy.
And then after that,
Do you know what you were getting into?
even it's like Gordon's talking about their, not having not having Batman anymore, and Robin's marrying Oracle and all this and that and everything. But obviously,
Yeah.
Batman is still shows up again at the end of it,
Hmm.
and it's like, okay, you would think that all of his allies would know if he's still alive, if he's still active.
Right.
And on top of that, it seems to imply that it's like, is it just supposed to be like interpretive that it's just the legend that they're still afraid, even though the criminals are saying they're not afraid of him anymore? They still are, or is he actually employing some use of the fear toxin himself to do the whole floating in the air and jumping down like a demon thing? Or
Right.
I don't know. On the one hand, the ending being kind of ambiguous was cool, but at the same time, a lot of it just doesn't quite make sense.
Right.
But one article I did read made a good point of they have said that $40 for the season pass is going to be regular additional content for the next 6 months.
Hmm.
So it could be that they actually already have plans for what they want to do for the epilogue sort of story aspects of it.
Right.
So some stuff may be filled in and explained.
Yeah, because they still haven't really said for sure what all is going to be coming out. I know that there's I'm sure there's going to be costumes, and then there's the Batgirl thing.
Yeah, the Batgirl prequel thing, which actually looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't think I really want to pay $40 for. To me,
Just
it's
that
like
one.
the season pass stuff. It's like, so you want me to basically pay for the game a second time
Right.
to get all this extra content stuff that someone could argue should have been in the game in the first place.
Right. No, I can agree with that argument. We kind of discussed it on here, and you brought up, I think, an article that you had read that said basically we should quit pre-purchasing stuff, and I thought more about it after that discussion, and I agree. To the extent that if it's not something that's going to be like a limited edition, that's when it came up in the discussion, if I remember correctly, as I was talking about getting the Fallout 4
Yeah.
special edition, and something like that where it's a limited edition, special edition, kind of thing. Then sure, pre-order it because there's probably not any way you're going to get it otherwise. But people pre-order Call of Duty games and stuff, and not even the special editions, just like the regular $60 one that you buy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, you're paying them money for what could potentially be a really bad game. I've made that mistake. I did it with Fallout New Vegas, also did it with Aliens Colonial Marines.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, it hurt. So basically, we're not getting enough money from pre-sales of the actual game that you're paying $60 for, so we're going to pre-sell you, and with this, you don't even know what you're getting at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that they've released, like I said, that stuff, but have they really said what else the 6 months of content is going to be? Because they could very easily be like, here are 6 months worth of different costumes. Ha. I don't think they would do that, but they could.
Yeah, I don't think they would either. But it's just there's so much of it that I don't get what's going on or what they're trying to do. Or
I mean, I'm sure that it's.
The other thing I do like about that Batgirl DLC though is you finally get to see Harley in the Arkham universe, but she's wearing her old costume.
Oh yeah.
Her original animated costume. I thought that was kind of cool.
Black and red. It was black and red, right? Yeah, black and red. I liked her costume in this. It
with the big Harley Quinn, but it'll have like the mask and the big Harley Quinn headgear and the tights and everything. I just think it's funny to see see her original animated series costume used in the Arkham series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I'm not going to pay for that, but that would be kind of cool. Let's see. I was just looking at an article. It's 2 months old about.
I'll buy the Batgirl DLC once I see how long it is. Like if it's actually got enough time content, then I'll consider buying it. But what I may actually probably do is I'll just wait until Christmas, and then I'll see what all the DLC is, and then I'll decide if I want to pay like the season pass price to get all of it, or if I just want to buy a little bit of it piecemeal.
I'm reading an article here that actually does discuss season pass, what's actually in it, or what's kind of included with it. Looks like, of course, the Batgirl prequel stuff. There's a second story expansion called Season of Infamy that stars Batman in a new adventure. Revolves around a quote legendary a group of quote legendary supervillains invading Gotham. And let's see. Also brings new gameplay mechanics. I don't know what that means. And Gotham City Stories is the third and final story add-on. So it's going to be 3 story add-on packs included in the season pass, apparently. The third one, it looks like, is to center around Batman's key allies, which will probably mean Catwoman, Nightwing, and Robin. It's Gotham City Stories takes place simultaneously during and after the events of Arkham Knight. So it looks like there's the prequel Batgirl stuff, there's sequel ? Season of Infamy, and then there's a concurrent Gotham City story. So there's 3, but like you said, I'd rather wait and see how long they're going to be, because I'm not going to pay for a 2-hour DLC. I just sent you that article, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay $40 for 3 2-hour DLCs. That's a ripoff.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, the other thing I would assume that the DLC may also include, if you do the season pass, it may also include like the GameStop exclusive or the Amazon exclusive.
No,
you've got the Harley Quinn story pack, the Red Hood story pack. They're exclusive at the start, but eventually they'll be available for download, and so they may end up they may get tacked on later.
Yeah, that's another thing another way they get you to pre-buy stuff is the exclusives from different stores, but you only get it if you pre-buy it at the store, and they're generally not that good.
Well, they're not actually exclusive. They're normally temporarily exclusive. You usually only get them exclusive for like a little while, and then you can download them later.
Yeah. So don't fall for it, people. Just wait and get some reviews from actual game players and not the companies that are being paid.
Also says, besides story add-ons, other content is being added in Season Pass. Fans can look forward to themed racetracks and Batmobiles based on Batman properties throughout the 75-year existence of the character. That would be fun to play with just for a little bit. Not to do the race tracks, but just to see the different cars.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. They did I thought they did you could do the 60s Batman car.
You could do the actual
The Batmobile, yeah.
the game Batmobile with the red piping inspired by the 60s.
Oh.
But this is suggesting that the racetracks will actually be different Batmobiles. So theoretically, it's going to be like the Tumbler from Nolan, or the actual '60s full black and red car, rather than just a version of the one that's used for the game.
I actually ended up going.
It would actually be different models, is what they're theorizing, but it may not be true.
Completely, yeah. This says new Crime Fighter challenge maps. I've never really done a lot of the challenge maps, so that's not a big deal to me.
I'd take the Tim Burton one.
Yeah. I did end up actually changing back to like a more modern Batman costume after a while. I was using Adam West because it's fun, it's kind of goofy and whatever, but like some of the stuff just doesn't really fit with some of the alternate costumes you could do. Because I did the anime one for a while too, and the big fin on the back of his arm like was weird when he was talking to the like on the little thing on his arm. And, it's kind of cool.
I didn't do that. The only thing that I thought about switching was I ended up not doing it. I just played through the whole game with the actual suit because it fit better with what the story was doing and everything.
Yeah.
But I really wish the actual Arkham City suit had been one of the options you could have changed to, because even the one you start off the game in, which is supposed to be the Arkham City suit, still looks more mecha armor-ish. And then the one that you upgrade to looks full-on Iron Man, especially when he equips it.
Yeah. Yeah. Did they ever fix the PC stuff?
I don't believe they have yet. They're still working on it, though.
And apologizing profusely.
Yes. The Batman Begins version of the suit also looks horrible.
Oh, really?
It looks like a mix between the It actually looks more like the Arkham Knight, just with the Batman Begins style chest symbol on it. And that's it.
Nice.
It's really weird.
I don't know. I'll probably. I might play DLC. I can't. Like I've said, I can't do Wii plays. I can't stand watching somebody else play. So the only thing I'll normally do is like cutscenes that I missed or something. If something like that comes up, like the end of the Batman this game, because I'm not gonna go through and get 200 more. No, it's probably like closer to 170, but still, I'm not gonna do 170 Riddler challenges. I've got too many things going on.
I got them. I got them all.
That's right. I know you did. I figured you did.
You got to protect Gotham.
They seem to be all right.
Gotham's not that much of a danger. I mean, everyone left, really.
Yeah, pretty much. Who's gonna? Yeah, are the bad guys gonna beat each other up? I'm kind of okay with that.
Yeah. There was one article that I saw that was just ridiculous. It was on Polygon from Ben Kuchera, basically arguing that we need to accept that Batman is a mass murderer. They're basically arguing that everything in the game is basically he's killing people. And I'm just like, yeah, how about we not say that, and we pay attention to what the game tells us, and we accept that Batman is supposed to be a trained martial arts combatant, and he's capable of basically incapacitating people without killing them. How about we do that?
Right. I don't know. That was one thing the one problem I had kind of with the Batmobile, and it was concern that people had before the game came out as well, is like, yeah, he was hitting some of those guys pretty hard. Not intentionally. I would slide into people, but I'm like, I don't care if they were shocked so that it looks like that they were stunned. They did.
Yeah,
they really did.
Yeah, the idea is that they're supposed to have essentially like a kind of a force field for that electricity on the outside that basically is supposed to shock them to knock them away from the car.
Yeah.
So that the car itself isn't hitting them.
Yeah, but that's not how physics works. Sorry.
Well, it's just one, it's comic book logic, and two, And two, do you really want a game that basically forces the Batmobile to stop so that it can't hit people, so that gameplay gets interrupted constantly because it wants to ensure that the game doesn't show you doing anything stupid?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm just saying if
So
that were the case, if it was a force field and he was going at that high rate of speed that he's going in the game, and the force field is made to push the people away, then they're just going to die faster. Really? It's more forward momentum. It's just throwing them further. But anyway.
well, I think the idea is it's not like a force field. It's more like an electric shock. So like it's that burst of electricity is basically knocking them back. So before the force of the actual vehicle comes into play, they're supposed to be getting knocked aside or knocked out of the way or whatever. So.
But the force of the vehicle is always going to come into play. It's just basic. I don't know. Anyway, I see what you're saying, and yet it still doesn't make any sense. Yeah, seriously though, Batwing, that would have been real nice, real fun. Maybe one of the DLC will let you fly that around and shoot things. I would enjoy that.
Or they'll make 90% of the game all about that.
Yeah, I hope so. Because the Batmobile got old after a while. Give me something. Give me something.
I still like that that guy in one of the criminals that when you're running around that says something to the effect of I like Batman's old car better. Had kind of a retro old car thing going.
Yeah.
Didn't turn into a tank either.
Yeah. Yeah, that was funny.
Didn't turn into a freaking tank either.
I just had somebody else follow me on Twitter. I don't know why these people are following me on Twitter at Servo1999, by the way. I don't ever post on there. I don't twit. I don't twit very often. So, but thanks for following me. If you're listening to this, is anybody listening tonight? I don't even know. I haven't looked.
We had one briefly, but now no.
That may have been me.
The one thing I will say looks kind of cool is apparently if you playing at least Batman Arkham Origins, Arkham Asylum, or Arkham City on PC is, as with most PC games, the modding community does have a lot of apparently additional costumes to choose from, which I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it would be kind of cool to play some new fan-made stuff, but I feel sorry for the PC folks that bought it. I don't know. Does it? I guess I would have to use a controller if I were to play it on PC because it doesn't feel like that. It was really designed for a PC control scheme.
Yeah, most people. I mean, most PC gamers still use controllers. Just have USB connections.
That's just. That's
I've read a lot of people. I've read a lot of commentary that feels like the PlayStation 4 is one of the best controllers to use for the PC. You just have to do a little finagling to make it work.
Yeah, I think I've used it for that, actually. I was playing, I don't remember, one of the games on Steam using my controller for my PS4. And yeah, it was good. There was one that, I want to say it was Bastion, that just did not recognize the controller being there for some reason. Even though, like, Steam and, like, the computer saw the controller, that game, for some reason, didn't see it. It was really weird.
Your controller doesn't exist.
Yeah, it does. It's right there. No, it's... Look, I'm showing it to you on the webcam.
Don't see it.
Computer, come on.
Lies.
Oh.
Nope. Get out of here.
All right, it looks like we're about that time. We're actually probably a little over, and I got to get up early to go to work. So I'm going to call it time of death.
All right. Yeah, this podcast is dead.
That's right.
Calling it.
That's right. So, again, at Servo1999 on Twitter, you'll catch one of the, like, once in a while things when I do actually tweet. My cat just went insane for some reason.
That's what cats do.
Caught that in the background. She just tore across the living room for no apparent reason. But all right.
Run!
Well, it wouldn't have been as bad except for she was like in the window, and so she knocked the vertical blinds. It kind of scared the crap out of me. But anyway, at Servo1999, and I do twit probably at least once a week. I think I twitted before I went into to Rift Tracks Live, which, by the way, was good. Even, I don't know, the movie was so bad, though. It was almost Manos quality. It was painful, and they did a good job. Some of the jokes were really good, but it was just like, thank God they were making jokes, because I never would have sat through this movie. 20 minutes in, I was already like, oh, God, really? So.
That's painful.
Yeah. All
right. Well, we'll do it again next week.
Yeah.
Same Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yep, 7 to 9. We've changed the time for those people that are wanting to listen in live. If you're listening in later, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time.
Yep.
Because
All
I'm
right.
old and I got to go to bed early.
Oh, old man.
Oh. All right.
Alrighty. Well, we'll talk to you next week. I don't know what we'll talk about, but we'll figure it out then.
Talk to you next week. Bye, listener.
See ya.